Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Well, we're out here once again working on the Ratty Satty, and so far this car has turned out amazing. I don't know if you guys can see this in the background or not. Hopefully you can. It looks absolutely killer, and it was an animal on the autocross track. It's a fun ass daily driver, gets attention everywhere it goes, and yeah, I plan on having a ton of fun with this car in the months ahead. But unfortunately, there's a few things that are definitely preventing us from having way more fun than we could be right now. First and foremost, T-Bone literally just described it to me as an ocean of transmission fluid under the car. We got to get that fixed. So when we were loading up for Vegas, we had a couple drips here or there, so I brought an extra gallon with me, and I'm glad I did, because after beating on the car a whole bunch, it was leaking a whole lot. So I isolated it down to the gear selector seal that's underneath, like the kickdown linkage and all that. It's like a slow weeping leak that's just continuously running out. And the car's been sitting for maybe 3 or 4 days since I drove it last, and it is a gigantic ass puddle of fluid underneath the car. So we're gonna fix that. But I figured if we're gonna be dropping the transmission, why not put in a much looser converter? So we've got Hughes provided us a performance converter, a 3000 stall that we're gonna be putting in it, as well as a Cheetah reverse manual valve body. So this car hopefully is going to be a whole different animal by the end of this episode, and I hope to bring you guys a ton of good burnouts at the end of this, because we're going to be able to test drive it and see what improvements it made, and hope to God we fix those leaks. So let's get this car out of the shop, let's back it into the lift bay, and let's get this transmission out of the car. Alrighty, so we got our transmission mounted up here on our engine stand, and yes, I did say engine stand. I actually saw this the other day on a separate channel, and it worked flawlessly for him, and I can see why. I mean, I was able to 3-point it on there, got all the bolts in nice and secure, and yeah, it's gonna act just like a rotisserie. We can roll it over, get to everything that we need to on the inside of the transmission just fine, and it's gonna make swapping out that valve body a whole lot more enjoyable. So no drips running down into my eyes, my armpits, or anywhere else, and we can kind of do it all right here in front of us. Now, I mentioned earlier that the gear selector seal is bad, and that's actually located directly underneath here. We've got our kickdown linkage, of course, we've got our gear selector linkage right here, and underneath there's a shaft seal. And to really get that out, you can do that in the car. They sell a special tool for that. I'll go ahead and throw a link in the description below about that, but what's going to make it really easy for us is that when we drop the pan out, we get the valve body out, we can actually punch that seal out from the inside and replace that a whole lot easier than having to work above your head on the inside of the car. Now we'll call that primary leak 1. Here on the other side we have leak number 2, which frankly I'm kind of surprised that there's even a leak. You guys can probably see how much sealant. I caked on this entire thing, but apparently I missed a spot right here. I can kind of squeeze out the transmission fluid, and I think that is where we've got another source of those slow drips from. But with this drop in the pan, we do have to swap out that gasket. We do have to reseal the entire thing. So hopefully when we go to button this whole thing up, we can kind of put those leaks to bed and we won't have to deal with any more ATF on the street or in my shop. So let's go ahead and grab some tools. We'll get all this linkage off, flip this thing upside down, and let's get this pan off and check out the valve body. Alrighty guys, so before we button up this transmission, I wanted to show you a few things here that I did off camera, which I did not film. First and foremost, the replacement of this shaft seal. Now you guys saw me pop this out just with a punch and a hammer. Once you have the valve body out, super simple to access. And yeah, wasn't no thing to put it back in either. Just throw some grease on the outside of it, find a socket that's roughly the same diameter with a little extension, and just tap it into place, and it dropped right in to where it needs to be. Now I've seen people use C-clamps on these. You can do a whole bunch of different things, but at the end of the day, as long as it's sitting flat with the casing of the transmission, should be good to go. And this hopefully should fix our leaks. I want to say this seal costs maybe $4 at AutoZone, which kind of drives me crazy because I've spent the better part of $100 on ATF over the last couple of weeks with everything that's leaked out of this thing. So hopefully that'll fix that. And we'll call that primary leak number 1 because we got a few to address here. The second thing in the Cheetah instructions call for the removal of the spring. It's just right underneath of the valve body. So once you pull the valve body out, you pull the parking rod out, you have full access in here. So this spring just sits in there, pop it out, should be good to go. And from the old valve body to the new, really the only thing I had to do is transfer that parking rod, which is a real simple clip, and just swap it over, and all of it dropped right back into place. We got everything torqued down here. And we also got a brand new filter kit here from AutoZone. Now this is just like a cheapy Duralast kit here with the extension for the deeper pan that I've got. And with that filter comes this really cheap gasket, okay? Now, you're gonna spend, I think, like 15 bucks on the filter kit with this gasket. Then you're gonna spend another $15 to $20 on enough sealant to try to seal this transmission pan. And in my opinion, giant waste of money, guys. I've done that, I think, 2 or 3 times now. Ended up with leaks every single time. And so I'm really hoping that this fixes primary leak number 2. And that is this damn transmission pan gasket. So I was able to pick this unit up from AutoZone. I will tell you, it's about 5 times the thickness of a stock gasket. It's like a plastic core with these little silicone strips that are on there to hopefully eliminate any of the leaks. Now, reading the reviews on this, people use this without sealant. So we'll see how effective that is once we get this pan back on and get everything torqued down. But, you know, thankfully, 5 times the thickness does not come at 5 times the cost. I want to say shipped to my house around 40 bucks. So a little bit more expensive, but if I even get 2 uses out of this, which this should be completely reusable, it's already paid for itself, and let alone in the amount of ATF that hopefully this and also this damn shaft seal will save from getting on my garage floor. Hopefully it's all worth it in the end. And from here, guys, we'll take a little bit of brake cleaner. We'll clean up the mating surfaces here from the new pan and also on the transmission. And at that point, we can then put our hardware back in, put it all back together, and then we can install that badass brand new Hughes converter, which should hopefully take this car to a whole new level. So let's get this all put back together and let's get it back into the car. All right, now something I've been waiting literally weeks to tell you guys, and something I'm very, very excited about and frankly proud of, is I've partnered up with Cold Case Radiators, and they are providing all of the cooling components for the Ratty Satty. And so what you guys are looking at here is their 26-inch aluminum radiator. It's all aluminum, completely TIG welded, and my goodness, what a work of art. It's really, really nice. This is their 2-row version, and I know you may be thinking, why not run a 4-row? I don't know if you guys can see how wide that radiator is, but this wide style provides, you know, the same, if not more, surface area than what a 4-row would, and better cooling capacity, and overall just a really, really nice unit. I've got several friends, several other big YouTube channels are running these, and you know, in the 500-600 plus horsepower daily driver, you know, beating the hell out of their cars, and they provide all of the cooling that they need. And you guys know I really don't take it easy on any of my cars here, but especially the Ratty Satty. So we need all the cooling help that we can get. Now this is meant for the 68 to 72 Plymouth B bodies, and you know, if you do in general have a classic Mopar, they've got you covered. This is meant for the big block as well as the automatic transmission. So you guys can see I've already got my 3/8 hose connections on here, so we can connect those up. And yeah, I guess just an added cherry on top here is this beautiful aluminum cooling shroud. It's all stamped out. I mean, it's pretty slick, you guys. All the hardware is included. They even included the wiring kit for the electric fans It's very heavy duty, thick gauge wire, as well as the sending units also in here. So pretty much everything you need to be a plug and play to provide some better cooling for your classic Mopar. So I don't know if you guys remember, you know, in addition to the mystery converter that we're running, or that we did run in this car, we're also running the mystery radiator out of the Fury. It leaks, it doesn't cool that well. We're having to run that clutch fan. I don't have a shroud for it. And then also the fittings on the bottom, there, right there where the transmission connects, they're completely stripped out. So several reasons to switch over. And again, very, very happy to be working with Cold Case on this. So yeah, it's gonna make things cool a whole lot better and also look a whole lot better too. So let's get that old radiator out, let's get this thing in, and yeah, let's get this thing also filled up with fluid so we can actually take it out for a spin. All right, so we got the Cold Case radiator installed. Everything turned out really nice. I got all the fluids topped off. We were pretty much ready to go at this point. Now the car has been sitting for the better part of a week due to me being really, really sick. Ended up getting the flu right after the last bit of filming there, so I've been down thinking about all the possible things that maybe I didn't do right, maybe I didn't install right, because believe me, I've been itching to get out here and get this thing started, get it running. But I tell you what, I slept pretty soundly. I think it's going to run really good. I hope it runs really, really good. I've never done that extent, that level of transmission work, or swapped out a valve body or anything like that. So yeah, always a little nerve-wracking, but I can't tell anything that didn't go back together just as good, if not better, than what it did when I took it apart. So, well, let's get some cameras set up, let's get this car fired up, and let's go out and take it out for that first drive. Okay, now remember we put the new shift plate in here because it is reverse manual, meaning that all the way back now is third gear. So second, so that should be first, second, third. Seems to shift pretty smooth. Well, I'm going to try my best to talk. Hopefully you guys can hear me, but I'm sure you'll see the reaction on my face with how everything turns out. Fired right up. Alrighty, so we're about up to temp here, so we're gonna go ahead and open up the exhaust a little bit so you guys can hear that. And you probably will definitely not be able to hear me after that. Here we go. Definitely runs a little bit different with that stall. Alright, just want you guys to be able to hear me. That shift from first to second, instant, and there was no jerking, no nothing crazy. Wow. Let's go to third. shifted. If it is shifting, it's extremely smooth. All right, let's open it up again. Here we go. Do a pull or two. Here we go. All right, so we're all gassed up. First impressions of the Cheetah manual valve body, well worth the money. I know I got mine from my buddy Mopar Joe, but if you guys are looking for a really good reverse manual valve body, definitely check it out. The shifting is so smooth, it feels like a new automatic in a lot of ways, but there's no hesitation, there's no nothing. And before, with running the stock valve body, with running no kickdown linkage, because the tunnel ramp's kind of hard to modify and customize the linkage, whatnot, I was having to like let off the gas a little bit to shift, and then it would pull, and then it would shift and pull. This is like, it's almost like a diesel pull, like where it's like relentless and you can't feel the shift whatsoever. So I'm freaking stoked about that. Yeah, cooling temps, we're sitting at 180, so huge thanks Cold Case Radiators for the radiator. And man, I just want to drive the shit out of this car. So yeah, let's get it started up. We're gonna do a few pulls, and then I've got a surprise for you guys, so stay tuned for just a few more minutes. Gotta be somewhat decent, close the headers when I'm getting gas, right? It's just leaving the gas station where I'm kind of an asshole. Here we go. Do a little burnout.